Hey, welcome to the Razzle Dazzle Show, a podcast where we make connections to the lens of video games and all things pop culture. I'm your host, Jared, and our guest today is Jesse Vilinsky. Jesse is an award-winning voice actor and audiobook narrator. With over 100-plus film, television, and video game credits, you've heard her voice throughout the Yellowstone universe of shows, as Cow in Bullet Bullet on Disney+, Alan in Secrets of the Silent Witch for Crunchyroll, Gwyn in Destiny Rising, Devlin the Firebug in Killing Floor 3, and Bomb Squad Orphan in Rick and Morty. She was also just announced as the voice of Magik in Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls. On top of all that, she has also narrated over 375 audiobooks and won 2 Audie Awards, the Oscars for audiobooks, and 3 Voice Arts Awards for her narrations. Please let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet, and be sure to follow us on our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Links to them are down below. And with all that being said,
it's Razzle Dazzle time.
Hello, Jesse. Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
If I was doing any better, I'd have to hire somebody to help me enjoy it. Thank you for asking. A quick Kickstarter question before we really dive into everything. I know that a part of your process in getting into character for, most of your roles, if not all, is building a playlist for them. With that in mind, what is/would be your playlist for a certain particular mutant demon queen?
There'd be a little bit of death metal in there. Probably some Dream Theater. If we're going deep cuts.
Yeah, please, as deep as you want.
Yeah, Dream Theater for sure. A little bit of Korn.
Wow.
Yeah, there'd probably be some Papa Roach in there. Yeah, anything with a good drum beat is gonna. Slipknot would have to be there.
Slipknot. Wow. Okay. Love it. Okay. So speaking of music, I want to start at the beginning with you now. Can you tell us, where did you grow up and how would you describe the musical background of your childhood?
I was born and raised in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
On the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I would say the musical background would be speeding cars on the West Side Highway and horns honking, garbage trucks, construction vehicles, but also neighbors. The voices of my neighbors, I think, was a big part of my growing up. A lot of people think that if you grow up in a big city, it can be sort of cold and you don't have that sort of sense of community. But I found the exact opposite.
Wow.
That, yeah, we had a very strong community where I grew up, and you'd see your neighbors in the elevator. You always say hi and walk your neighbor's dogs, etc. And you're in the park, you always see the people from your neighborhood. You play Little League with their kids, and yeah, it was a great place to grow up, I think.
I think the difference between most cities is if the cities are walkable, then then you can build more of a community. But I'm from Miami, and it is not walkable. So therefore, I never got that sense of a community within where I'm from.
Yeah, I think that, and then also it's a little different now, but growing up, there weren't a lot of big box stores or anything like that. And so you always were going to mom and pop shops and bodegas, and you get your stuff from we always got our fruit from the guy who sold it from the cart on the corner. The fruit stands in New York City are better than Whole Foods, I think.
Right.
And you get your bacon, egg, and cheese and all your great sandwiches at the bodega on the corner, and you're always going into a local shop for your things. I never went to a Target until I got to suburbia. Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so did you have any kind of music being played in the household by your parents?
Yes,
by
sorry.
You're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
My mom, though I grew up in New York, my mom is from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
So the Beach Boys were played a lot growing up. Connie Francis was her favorite, so that got played a lot as well. Connie Francis and Patsy Cline were big in my house. We played a lot of music. I grew up on musicals as well, like old school musicals, like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, which looking back is a bit problematic, but it was, delightful for the time. And, a little bit of Phantom of the Opera, I guess, your sort of classic Sondheim, Andrew Lloyd Webber type situations. And then my dad was the one who got me into like classic rock. So like I'd listen to Cream and, I'd listen to Cat Stevens and all Bob Dylan. So I had a very eclectic musical background growing up for sure.
Understood. You like that old time rock and roll. So do I. Yeah, I'm a big classic rock person, but like my main go-to is like Motown. I love that Motown sound, Did you have any instruments growing up in the household?
I grew up playing the violin, actually.
Cool.
Yeah. I really wanted, I was fascinated by the violin, so I wanted to play it. And I think from ages 8 to 12, I played violin until I realized I did not want to be a concert violinist. I just wanted to be able to play it. And so we moved on.
Understood. And you never picked it up since?
Not really. I toyed with the idea of playing guitar. I have a guitar, and my brother-in-law is a fantastic guitar player. But nope, just use my voice as my instruments.
Understood. Okay. What was the first band or musician that really got your attention when you were young? Not like something that your parents would play, but like something that you were like found for yourself.
Papa Roach and Lit were the first bands that I paid attention to as a kid. I really liked their sound, and Incubus. Those three were kind of the main ones, and then the first concert I ever went to was actually Fear. It was called Snowcore, and Fear Factory was the headliner. And then I got to go to a Papa Roach concert. I think I've seen them in concert 3 times.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. How did you like first hear about them? Was it just playing on the radio, or like a friend recommended a cassette?
So back in the day, I saw them on Fuse TV.
Wow.
Sort of like an alternative to MTV.
Yeah,
actually played music videos.
Actually played music videos.
And I saw them there, and I went to high school in the Bronx. They were like, I was on that alternative kick, and their sound spoke to me. That, their first single, Last Resort, was just, I liked the sound of it, and I just sort of always felt it. One of my best friends at the time always makes fun of me because he doesn't feel it's hardcore enough, but I think they're great.
Not hardcore enough. It's like that same argument of like, what's punk rock? What's considered punk rock? That's so funny. Do you remember the first physical media that you've owned that was yours?
Oh, yes. This is also one of those things where, like, when you grow up in an apartment building and you're riding the elevator with the same people, my building is 20 stories. So, there's a lot of floors. And there was a neighbor who lived on the 16th floor. We'd ride the elevator with him every day. And he gave me my first CD. And it was an ABBA Greatest Hits. That was the first CD I ever owned.
Wow.
and so I discovered Dancing Queen and everything before Mamma Mia was even... Before Mamma Mia, before Muriel's Wedding, I listened to the ABBA's Greatest Hits at the age of 9.
Wow.
9 or 10.
Wow. Oh my God. Do you still have that CD by any chance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I know. I wish I did, but no. And we had just gotten like our first computer with a CD-ROM, so I was able to play it. I'm aging myself, so.
I love this. Okay, so this next question requires a bit of context, so please bear with me. As I said before recording, I am a producer and audio engineer for an NPR PBS station here in Southwest Florida, and we have this other show called 3 Song Stories, where we tell people's biography through music. The guests will come in and they'll pick 3 songs that every time they listen to these songs, they immediately get transported back to a time and place that they have a significant story associated with it. It could be anything. It could be a small little anecdote. It could be something that's funny, something that's like important to their lives, something sad, whatever. I want to ask you off the top of your head, do you have one song story you're willing to share?
Oh my goodness. Anything.
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 It could be from a musical, it could be an actual band or musician, or it could be something from like a TV show or a video game, whatever.
Yes. So the very first concert I ever went to, like I said, was Snowcore.
Mm-hmm.
And Fear Factory was the headliner, and I can't remember. There was like 3 other bands that were playing, but it was my first concert, and my other friends who I was going with, they had been to rock concerts before, and there's a mosh pit, and I was 14, and so my friend, we were up in the balcony before we went into the pit, and she was trying to like show me what it was going to be like in the pit and prepare me for the pit. And so she just started to like shove me and she elbowed me so hard in the arm, and I was like, what was that for? And she's like, that's what it's going to be like in the pit. You got to be prepared. And I was like, oh, okay. That seems violent. And then we got some drinks and we went down and we were in the pit. And yeah, there was a lot of pushing back and forth and everything. But anytime somebody fell down, especially somebody like myself who's short in stature, the entire pit rallied around them and lifted them up to make sure nobody got trampled. And it was strangely one of the most safe spaces I've ever felt like I was in, because everybody was like, we understand we're doing something that on the outside looks really violent, but really we're just feeling the music as hard as we possibly can. And also, don't be dumb. Like, if you see somebody swinging their arms back and forth, duck.
Right.
Be aware. And the best thing is that I had the best time. So much fun. I think I might have fallen once, and everybody swooped in and scooped me up, which was amazing. I got to crowd surf that concert, which was super amazing. You feel like you're flying, like you're Superman.
Yeah, during your first concert? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was great. The next morning, like, you sort of check yourself out. Like, am I sore? Am I okay?
Right.
I had one bruise from that whole concert, and it's from where my friend elbowed me.
The battle scars were from before the battle. I love that.
Yes, exactly.
And just so I don't miss it, what was the song that was playing during that time?
Oh my goodness. I'll be honest with you. I cannot remember the name of the song. I just remember that it was heavy metal. And heavy metal has stuck with me forever. A song in particular, if I can give you another story that I do have.
Sure.
There is, to go in the opposite direction of heavy metal, because I also really like jazz.
You like jazz? B-movie reference. Yep.
There you go. My husband and I, our first dance at our wedding, we did to You and I, as sung by Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I need to know why.
We do enjoy Family Guy.
Yeah.
But Seth MacFarlane actually put out an album of jazz standards. And, he's the voice he does for, oh my God, why did it just leave for Brian.
Brian, yeah.
Is kind of very similar to his own voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that sort of crooner jazz standard voice about him. And we were trying to figure out, and we used to live above a jazz club
Yo,
And-
that's sick. That's
And
amazing.
So we've always been into jazz, and we were trying to figure out what we'd do our first dance to. And my husband happened to have the CD of Seth MacFarlane's jazz standards in his car, and we listened to it, and it was very reminiscent of how we felt about each other. So we were like, this is great, let's do it.
There is just one answer. You and I.
Wow. I love that so much. I know Seth MacFarlane did an album with Liz Giles.
Okay,
That might be something that worth checking
I'll
out.
have to check that out.
Yeah. How does that song fit into your life today?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we listen to it almost every year on our anniversary. And this year we'll have been married 10 years.
Wow.
We'll have been together 20.
Wow.
And known each other for 24. But it's very it very much describes the relationship that he and I have. It's that fun-loving, jokey relationship, but also no matter what, you always have somebody who has your back, somebody who can be your foundation, somebody who is going to be your biggest cheerleader in everything that you do, but also tell you when you're messing up. But be there to give you a helping hand to get it back on track. Yeah.
Wow.
He's my best friend, so it's just nice to have something that represents that.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
To switch, well, actually not. I do want to address the living above a jazz club.
Yes.
I can only imagine how great that must be for you never have to put on music at dinner time, right? Like you could just be quiet enough and they'll just were you on the second floor or the third floor? Where were you?
Second floor. Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
our floor was their ceiling.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was actually, it was really fun other than when they did sound check, because usually when they were doing sound check is when I was trying to record. So it would be, that would be an hour where I couldn't record. And then obviously I wouldn't record at night because they were on and doing their thing. But it was great because we used to like to put on jazz to fall asleep to.
Right.
And so we wouldn't need to because it was playing downstairs. And also sometimes it'd be playing and we'd be home, and we lived in this big loft. So we would just have a dance party ourselves in our loft,
Yeah.
not have to go downstairs and pay $20 for a drink that I could make at home.
Right. Were you already a fan of jazz before you moved in?
I've always been a fan of jazz, not smooth jazz, smooth jazz, elevator type music.
Sure.
Isn't my favorite because I think it reminds me of going to the dentist.
That's real.
That was always playing when I was at the dentist. But I've always been a fan of Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday, all that. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Definitely.
wow. Classic rock, heavy metal, jazz. That is that's what a combination of what your life is. That's incredible. Okay. To move on just a little bit, I understand that, as you mentioned before, you grew up watching a lot of musicals and stuff like that. You've already mentioned the musicals, but I want to ask, did you grow up watching cartoons and movies and stuff?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite growing up, I loved the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one for me. But then also Recess and Pepper Ann were really big for me. For for Saturday morning cartoons. And then, obviously love The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Grew up on The Simpsons. And Rugrats.
Yeah.
Rugrats was always amazing. I would always sneak watching Ren and Stimpy. I wasn't technically allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy because it wasn't very intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would watch that a little bit, and like the Nickelodeon shows. What's the other one? Rocko's Modern Life. Definitely grew up on that, and Doug. How could you not love Doug? And then as I got older, Daria very much spoke to me. Love Daria. Still love Daria.
Mm-hmm.
And then movies. I mean, yeah, I grew up watching lots of old, like my mom would have me watch old movies, like from the 50s and 60s, like I said, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers,
right.
Calamity Jane, were favorites of mine. But I also The Court Jester with Danny Kaye, which I think everybody should watch that movie because that's the only time I've ever seen Angela Lansbury in her 20s. And it's fabulous. And Danny Kaye is just the king of timing and comedy, which is great. And Kindergarten Cop, Last Action Hero, I was obsessed with when I was a kid for some reason. And then, at a certain point, you're like seeing all the classic high school movies. She's All That. And, what was the other one? Can't Hardly Wait. All those silly. She takes her glasses off and she's no longer ugly.
Right. Understood. So I also know that something that kind of started your path into where you are now, into your career, is that you were always like making voices, making accents, and if I remember correctly, like that's also in part of like having making your own friends, I guess. No.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as an only child.
Yeah.
So, and I say I grew up as an only child because I have siblings from my father's previous relationship.
I see.
I didn't know until
Half
I
siblings.
was an adult.
Oh,
Yes.
I gotcha.
So, and now I know them, and
Right.
now we're all family. Yes. So the very first thing I ever did was like when I was 5, I was going to school and I just sort of asked my mom one day, I was like, is it okay if I pretend to be Australian at school today? And she was like, what? And I was like, I want to be Australian today. And she was like, I guess so. And I fully tried to convince everybody that I was actually Australian and that the person they'd been talking to up until that point was my cousin. And that was kind of my first foray into doing a voice other than my own.
Right.
And like I feel like I was always good with making friends and stuff, but it was just I was always able to like act things out and do silly voices for everybody, and it was, and do different accents. And then when I was in high school, I remember a friend of mine and we were just messing around one day. We were walking around the city and we decided to go into Tiffany's, which is not a place like 2 15-year-olds should go. Like, just because there's a lot to break there.
Right.
So we tried to convince the lady behind the counter that we were really wealthy British kids that had every right to be there. And we didn't want anything anyway. And then we left. Just sort of messing around. But yeah, I would always do different types of voices that way.
Understood. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for clarifying that too. Now, I think it's easy to say or clear to say that with you practicing accents and also getting into musical theater, thanks to your mom, that you were always drawn to performing, at least in some capacity. Do you remember if there was a moment growing up where you realized that storytelling was going to be a major part of your life?
I was always drawn to performing. It was always an art form that I found fascinating. And I knew that I liked it and I wanted to do it. I think that it was, as I was getting toward graduating high school and really thinking about, okay, now we're going to college. What are we really going to do? Is when I really started to get serious about the idea of getting I want to get a theater degree. I want to be an actor. That's really what I want to do. I knew that I wanted to be well-rounded. Like I wanted to also have done physics and math and all that stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I didn't audition for LaGuardia High School in New York City. The other reason is that I was too lazy to come up with a monologue. But the big reason is that I found out that at LaGuardia, they really do focus on that art form, whichever one you pick, and there's not as much focus on the academic side of things. And I was still somebody who, even though I wanted to go into the arts, I also wanted to have that academic background.
Right.
Because I'm also a nerd at heart and I want to know stuff. So I opted to take the giant test that every 13-year-old in New York City takes to get into one of the specialized high schools. And I got into Bronx Science. And so that's where I went, which is a science high school. So you wouldn't think that arts were a part of it. But I auditioned for the musical every year. And they had a school musical and they also had a school play every year. And I was in the musical twice, and being in the musical and being a part of that and kind of accessing that part of scripts and breaking down scripts and kind of really sort of seeing what that was like, especially when we started doing Shakespeare, was really interesting to me. And I remember I played in Twelfth Night. Was it Twelfth Night? No, I'm sorry. In Much Ado About Nothing, I played the constable, which in the movie version, Michael Keaton played. And I just remember it was this role where I got to be big and bombastic and just be more free. And that was kind of the first moment where I was like, that was fun. That was really fun. I like that. I want to do more of that. And so I think that was kind of where I was like, okay, let's start thinking about what we want to seriously move toward in life.
And since then, your career now, your career lives at an intersection of so many different types of storytelling. You went from just musical theater to now audiobooks, animation, video games, anime dubbing. Do those feel like completely different artistic muscles to you, or are they all different expressions of the same thing?
I think they're all different expressions of the same thing, to be honest. At the heart of it all is, as you say, is storytelling. And I think that, sometimes you get a job and you're like, you get booked on a dubbing job and you're like, you don't even know what character you're going to be doing until you get in there. Right. But when you're in there and you have the opportunity to continue to tell that story rather than just reading the lines, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody can say the words on a page, but the point is to lift them and give them life and three-dimensionalize them. And I think that's what I strive to do in all aspects of voiceover, whether it's animation, video games, audiobooks. I think that's the overarching goal, to be sure.
Right. That's where the acting comes from within voice acting. Like without the acting part, you're not going to make it very far. You're not going to do as well as you think, because it's more than just doing a voice, and that's something that you've had to learn, and every other voice actor has had to learn. And through the process, speaking of storytelling, you narrated hundreds of books, which means you spent an enormous amount of time living inside of other people's stories. Has that changed the way you think about storytelling itself?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have the most tremendous respect for writers. I mean, I always did, but I am in awe of them at this point. They flabbergast me. I mean, any writer in any realm, gosh, don't even get me started on a video game narrative writer. But the fact that any of them can sit down and have the imagination that they do to come up with the worlds that they create, whether it's, obviously a giant fantasy where you've created a magic system and politics and, a whole world of countries, or even if it's a slice of life YA where you're just dealing with the machinations of what it's like to go through high school,
Right?
Which we all know that is difficult.
Yes.
And then on top of that, when we're talking, gosh, some of the animes that I've gotten to dub, I'm just like, how did you come up with this story? I'm just in awe of them, and I feel very lucky to be even a small cog in the wheel that gets to three-dimensionalize what they create.
Right. And just to clarify, that transition between stage acting to voice acting, I understand that it's because of a friend's recommendation or someone told you about that you can just read books as a job, and that's like how you got into it, right?
Sort of. So two things. I was at Second City doing improv and sketch comedy, and a friend of mine, their now husband, came to our show and saw a sketch that I wrote and performed in, and was like, where I did a whole bunch of characters and voices. And he came up to me after the show and was like, I don't say this to everybody. You should do voiceover. You would be very good at it. And so that was, as far as voiceover is concerned, he was sort of the first one to very seriously look me in the eye and say, this isn't you have a funny voice or you can do voices kind of thing, but you should do voiceover. And then I was able to pursue voiceover in particular from there. And then when it came to audiobooks, my mom likes me to point out that she was a part of this. So my mom was a part of this. But I do distinctly remember my aunt, who is a very avid reader and also really likes audiobooks, was one of the first people to say, have you ever thought about doing audiobooks too? You should look into audiobooks. And I was like, okay, sure. Because it was an aspect of voiceover in the industry that I hadn't really considered.
Right.
Because it is more of a marathon than a sprint.
Yeah.
To be sure. But it's a very worthwhile one. And I feel very lucky that all three of those people, because my mom is a really big part of my support and encouragement getting into this as well.
I think, first of all, I think that's great. And I love that you had that encouragement to pursue more aspects of your career that you're already pursuing. I think having that kind of support is, it's everything, right? And not everybody has that. So it's great that you were able to, lean on that and get exposed to this new venture. And then, it opens a door of opportunities to where you got to now. Whether you're recording for an audiobook, a game, a movie, a show, whatever, do you find yourself living with those characters while you're recording, mentally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in an audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
because generally I'm inhabiting the entire world. I have to live in those characters, and sometimes I have to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
depending on the content, because I don't always narrate the happiest books.
Yeah.
Which can also be cathartic. And as an actor, I try to find a benefit personally from being able to do that as well. With video games and anime and stuff, with the way that we're working, it's a lot quicker. But I find that in each line that I give, I am living in that character as I give it. But it is a little bit easier for me to step away from that character when the session is done.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, because you're not like living with them or in them as long as characters in audiobooks. And that leads me to my next question. Do you ever feel like those pieces of those characters stay with you even after recording?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
They'll make me sort of, and I think this is the power of what authors and writers create as well. They really make you consider how you're going about your life and how you're perceiving things around you. And what way you are going to choose to walk down your path. You can make the choice to be upset about something, or make the choice to continue to be happy, or sad, or how am I going to continue forward, and what are the choices that I'm going to make, have definitely been informed at times by the worlds that these writers have created, to be sure.
Right. And within or from those worlds that you've been in, is there a particular book or character, if anything, that you've worked on that still sticks with you emotionally?
There's been a few. There was a book that I did. I think it was called Little Universes, and it was myself and a co-narrator, and the story, they were two sisters, and the storyline the sister that I was narrating was, she was going through some stuff. She'd had an abortion and had a relationship. She was in high school. Her boyfriend was a freshman in college. There was a lot going on there. And I just sort of remember going through her emotions and everything that she felt, and remembering how I felt at that time. I didn't have the same experience, but I remember being in high school and thinking that everything was the most dramatic, everything was the most important, everything was the be all end all, right? And I was able to take that and both be proud of myself to be where I am now, to be able to look at that from the outside and go, wow, it wasn't such a big deal, huh? But also acknowledge who I was then and go, I understand that you felt it was a big deal. And sort of apologize for any making wrong that I did to myself then, or to, who I was then. And so I have a little bit more grace, I think, toward those who are younger than me, who may be feeling certain things that now in my life I might be like, ugh, why is that? It's not a big deal, just, whatever. But then also to take a second and be able to actually look from that point of view and go, okay, I see that it is a big deal to you, and I'm not going to patronize you about it, and I'm not going to make you wrong about it. Let's try but I am here to help you with a solution. So let's try and figure it out, kind of thing. And just not add to the problem.
I completely understand, and I can only imagine from the audience perspective, the consumer's perspective, like the connection that they're able to build with these characters from all these different books, because of your performance, because of your talent, because of your work. Like I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks, but a few months ago, I read through the entire Witcher saga, I guess, right?
Yes.
And I had the physical books, and when I was reading them, I was listening to the audiobook versions as I read along, or like when I was in the car or whatever. So this was my first time really diving into an audiobook. And I forget the actor who did the audiobook, but he did an amazing job portraying these characters that I've heard and seen in, The Witcher 3 or the Witcher games and the Witcher show. And it's like, oh, wow. But yet he still manages to like make this still feel like the same character and this and that. And I feel like that's not talked about enough when we talk about or talk to voice actors, like the audiobook like this part of the industry, I think doesn't get enough light shown on it. I've had like other like voice actors who do a lot of audiobooks, like Rob Moreira and Josh Portillo, and they're amazing, they're great. And they have also, done hundreds of audiobooks and like bring these characters to life. And like I've heard snippets of your work throughout various projects, and I think that you do an amazing job at exactly that, bringing these emotions from this character and like weaving this story so that it paints a more concrete picture in my head. You know what I mean? Like it's different than like when I'm reading it by myself. I have my own imagination, but like sometimes with a voice actor like narrating, it like it helps bring out more details and colors within this world that I couldn't do by myself. So all that to say is like you and your work does so much to bring out not only what's in the stories, but also bring out things for us, the readers, the listeners, and like helps us connect with these characters. And I think that's awesome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think that sometimes we're called readers,
Sure,
as audiobook narrators, and I do understand that, but it's acting, it is performing, and it's the same with video games and dubbing and all aspects of voiceover. We just don't get the benefit of getting to use our body, or for you to see our facial expressions. So it's almost like we have to go an extra mile, I think, when it comes to our performances, because we don't get to have the benefit of you seeing me smirk or you seeing an eyebrow raise, or a shrug. We have to convey all of those things through our voices and not overact it while doing so.
Right.
So it's a fun challenge, to be sure, but it's definitely a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, of course. And you've worked so hard that you won an Audie Awards, which is basically the highest recognition in that space. And that's not something to like, that's not chopped liver. You know what I mean? Like when winning that award, did that change the way you view your work at all?
I definitely felt acknowledged.
Yeah.
And you definitely feel validated when that happens. But I think especially since what we do tends to be in these delightful yet soundproof boxes,
right,
by ourselves, or maybe, with an engineer and a director. And especially since COVID, even if I go into a studio, my director's not always there. They're, over Zoom or something. So it makes it so we don't always get that sense of community when we're performing. So getting to win an Audie or Voice Arts Award is just that much more acknowledgement of like, you're not by yourself. This isn't wholly in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Somebody did get to experience your performance. And
Yes.
maybe a couple of people liked it, which would be cool.
Yeah, it's this form of voice acting, I think, or just acting, is very intimate, right? Because the reader is with you for like what, 12 hours minimum, right?
Yeah.
If they really want to commit, like, and you are doing your best to like represent so many different characters within the book, and like I said, weave out that world, and it's a very intimate, like voice acting itself can be very intimate in its own right, but this is like like you're kind of going at the reader's pace in a way of like they are willing to invest listening to this while reading along or not, and what's keeping them there for that like 12 hours minimum is your performance. And I think that's crazy. And like, yeah, obviously winning an award would you could make an assumption that like a lot of people liked your work, you know? So like that's also a part of this kind of industry of like not knowing what kind of impact you will have on people until way after the fact. And clearly people have been impacted by your work. You have brought together your own community of people. I'm not sure if you go to cons enough or often, but you know, conventions are a good example of like all these people, hundreds of thousands of people coming together to not only like tell you, the person, the actor or whatever, like how much your stuff has mean to them, but like that also lets them find each other and make more friendships and more connections. And I think that's beautiful. And that's thanks to your work. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are fans of a lot of the book series you've been a part of that have that same connection that has connected through your work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think you make a very good point, and I'm very proud that anything I can do can bring people together. And whenever something I do impacts somebody in some way, hopefully good, that's the ultimate goal. That's the reason that we create art, is to create an effect, is to create an impact. And maybe, you know, when the world is crazy, that impact can move the needle a little bit toward the side of good.
Yes. And I think you've already answered my next question, but I'm still going to ask it anyways. When someone listens to your work, whether it's a game, an audiobook, or a show, whatever, what do you hope they feel? I think you've answered that just now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the broad answer would be that I hope that they feel some sense of hope in the world, even if it's not something that's meant to be hopeful per se, but also that it, like at any point, if it makes them smile, if it makes them smirk, something, I want to make people feel happy in whatever way that means for them. If it just, you know, not everybody is the most, you know, gregarious, effusive person in the world, right? Some people, to be happy just means that, you know, I got to have a chuckle that day. If I made you chuckle, if I made you smirk, if I made you go, you know, then that's usually my goal, even within, you know, the horror games that I've done.
Right.
You know, I want to, you know, I don't know how much chuckling you're going to do in Dead by Daylight, but, you know, maybe.
A lot of friends do have fun playing that game.
I know.
Yeah.
I hope it's not only hanging me on a meat hook, but, you know, maybe helping me survive.
Right. Yes, of course. And to transition from audiobooks into a more recent title and more recent role.
Yes.
You are the voice of Magik, Ileana Rasputin, in Marvel's Tōkon Fighting Souls, which just released as of the release of this episode. And I want to touch upon this character specifically, not just because it's timely, but also because Ileana is a complicated character. She's layered. She's a mutant, which is already a big thing within the world of Marvel. She's a sorcerer. She is the ruler of Limbo and someone who's gone through a lot of trauma. When you approach voicing her, what parts of her personality did you feel most drawn to?
I don't want anybody to worry, but her rage.
Aha! Right. With the context of it being a fighting game, that makes sense.
Yes. I'm a pretty happy person.
Yeah.
But there's something about her rage and her strength and the strength that she has that does in fact come from her rage that I don't think that we see in a lot of female presenting characters. Often I think that we see a lot of strength, to be sure, especially in games. We'll see a lot of strength, we'll see quirkiness, we'll see strength behind beauty, and I think those are all fantastic. But there's something about not only her rage but not apologizing for her rage, because it is in fact quite valid, and she doesn't censor herself. And I think that especially when you are female presenting, this world really wants us to apologize all the time. So being able to inhabit somebody who not only doesn't apologize, but even when she is fighting the dark child coming through, she can also embrace it. And what I also love, though, is that she is at the point where she doesn't forget who she is. Because I think that there are also female characters that we see in games, but like in a lot of movies and stuff too, where they're a complicated female character who is angry and rageful, and they end up doing something evil and then they are regretful. And I think with Ileana, we don't need any of that. We're just using this to create strength and power and stand in that power. And I relished that. And I still do.
Understood. And I know it's weird because with fighting games are interesting because characters often communicate a lot through short bursts of dialogue, right? Like taunting, attack calls, victory lines, whatever. How do you still manage to bring out the personality of Magik when you're sometimes only delivering a few words at a time?
I mean, I think her personality comes out even in her efforts.
Right.
Right. So when you have no words at all, I think, I don't know, her personality is so ripe to be, mined, that it just, there was just something about her that I felt like I inhabited immediately. And even in the shortest of lines, I was like, I just knew where to go with her. Every now and then, I'd be like, let me try that one more time, because I knew like she's not going to be even a little bit apologetic about that. She's, she would be like, ugh, you're bothering, like she might be kind of annoyed, and how is she going to express being annoyed? So I think that in who she is, I kind of view her as the best way I can express it is like, in Italian, that move that you do with your hands where you bring your fingers and your thumb together.
Like that?
And all you have, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's all you have to do. And what somebody is saying, or like, in Greek, it's the same, in Yiddish, it's the same. We all have that. You can express something even without words. And so I just kind of had to delve into that, no matter how long or short her lines were.
Magik has this really interesting balance of cold confidence and buried vulnerability too. So as an actor, how did you find that emotional balance so she doesn't just sound tough and like, aggressive all the time, but like a real person with history?
I think it's just that, knowing that she's a real person with history. Because I think sometimes, especially when you're in sort of a a comic book character, superhero realm, the temptation can be to just play what's on the surface.
I see.
And while that is fun at first, we contain multitudes, and there's no reason that a character in a comic book shouldn't contain multitudes.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I approached her. The other thing, though, is remembering who she chooses to be vulnerable with. So depending on who that line is directed to, she may have vulnerability. She may not, because there are some people that she's like, you don't get. Her vulnerability is also precious. And it is not something that she gives lightly.
Yeah.
Obviously, she does not wear her heart on her sleeve. And so really being aware of, like, you know, how much respect does she have for Wolverine?
Right.
You know.
If any. And Storm for sure. Yeah, like Storm, I would for sure. Like Cyclops, definitely. Like, you know, Colossus, of course. Yeah, she would react or interact differently with them than other people that she doesn't really care for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Understood.
But I do think really that foundation of a whole person is who you have to play, not just what you might see on the screen.
Right. And beyond Magik, have you ever been a comic book fan at all, or, you know, interested within Marvel or DC?
I mean, I've always been a superhero fan.
Yeah.
Yes, I've always been a Marvel fan and some DC as well. You know, I do enjoy some Superman for sure.
Yeah.
And Batman I like, but there's something about, I like Batman, I don't love Bruce Wayne.
Fair.
If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, and also depending on what version of Batman, right? Like, because my favorite is Batman the Animated Series. That's like Kevin Conroy. That's definitive Batman right there.
Ugh,
you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No. It made me so happy when he got to be on the short-lived Batwoman series, Batgirl series.
I know. Yeah, it was Batwoman.
Batwoman series.
Yeah.
I just was like, oh, way to go, incorporating him. But I mean, I ran into Michael Keaton at a restaurant once.
Wow.
And he said hi to me, and I was like, great. Batman said, hey, how you doing? And that was awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a great day. So I've always loved that, and I've always been a Marvel fan. I've always been an X-Men fan.
Really?
And yeah, what was great about Magik and getting to play Magik is that when I auditioned for her, I didn't know that's what I was auditioning for. I had no idea. And it wasn't until I got into my first session that I found out, and was like, it was incredible because it was such a full circle moment for me, because I got to do some voice matching for
New Mutants.
For New Mutants.
Danny, yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Exactly. So for me to then find out that I'm going to play Magik was like, it just felt very kismet, as we say.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. So you were already aware of Magik as a character because you were already a fan of the X-Men. That's so cool, man. Well, first of all, I'm sure it must have been like still really cool when you first got to work on New Mutants in general, just because like, oh my God, I'm in a Marvel project, but also a Mutants project. Like
yes.
Is that like where you find your home in, like the whole like the X-Men mutant stuff, or like? Is it the Avengers? Is it the Defender? Like, where do you see?
You know, I would say both X-Men and the Avengers.
Okay.
Although Guardians of the Galaxy, I also really love, just because I mean, everyone, Rocket and Groot are they're my core. I feel like. I mean, they really do. You know, Rocket is sort of that rage. and Groot is that, or maybe we can learn from our mistakes.
Right.
And, figure it out. Or, press this button that's going to blow everybody up. Who knows? Yeah, I love them, but I also love X-Men. But I grew up watching the X-Men animated series.
Yes.
So I grew up watching, Storm, Wolverine, and Jubilee, and Rogue and Gambit, and that was just, I loved that show so much.
I'm fortunate and proud to say that I've had the voice of Rogue, Lenore Zan, on the show, and also the two original writers, Eric and Julia Leewald, on the show, and I'm currently in talks of getting AJ Locascio, the voice of Gambit, on the show as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious! Get
They're amazing.
Get them all.
They're amazing. Lenore Zan, she is one of the most sweetest and most authentic person you can ever meet. She's incredible.
Oh.
And Eric and Julia, they've worked on, like I said, they've written the original show and are now, of course, producing X-Men 97. So it was great to talk to them. It's been very X-Men heavy for me recently. And I didn't grow up with the X-Men. I recently started getting into the X-Men, actually thanks to Magik in Marvel Rivals. No lie.
Oh, I love it. I love it too because I feel like Marvel Rivals has really put her on the map.
Oh,
which I
100%.
only be incredibly appreciative of.
Yeah, right.
Abby Char is amazing.
Yes, she is.
But I think that I hope that people continue with her journey and that she keeps being, considered the rock star that I know she is.
Yeah, she has her own comic run going on right now with Colossus. Very cool.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm very much excited to get to play as Magik in Marvel Tōkon. I was a beta tester for a little bit, and Magik wasn't a part of the beta test at that point. So I'm like, okay, what's my next best main? Or who am I going to main? It was Star-Lord because I love the Guardians so much. Yes. And I see a lot of myself within Star-Lord, and I have my own leather jacket that is inspired by Star-Lord's jacket in Guardians 2. So yeah, I love it so much. But ever since they announced Magik that's in the game, you voicing her, I already know who I'm going to be maining now. So Magik's always going to be on my team. Star-Lord's always going to be on my team, and then we'll see who else they announce in the future. So I'm excited to play as Magik and getting to hear all of the rage that you put into her.
Thank you.
Well, now let's get into the speed round where I'm going to ask you a bunch of silly, random questions, and we're going to see how you do. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
If you were the final boss in a video game, what would your title be?
Oh, small but mighty.
If you were a superhero, what would your name be and what powers would you have?
Oh, I think teleportation.
Cool.
And my name, probably be, the West Side East Coaster.
The West Side East Coaster. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And that's literally what you did.
Yes.
You went from New York to LA. I love that so much. There's so many layers. If you could attend any fictional event, for example, the Ewok celebration in Star Wars Return of the Jedi, which one would it be and why?
The party at Avengers Tower in Age of Ultron.
Ah.
Before Ultron comes out.
Yeah.
Ruins everything.
Stan Lee drank an Asgardian liquor and he passed out. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Excelsior. Yes.
I love that so much.
Because it looked like a really fun party.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
If you could teleport yourself into any fictional world, any movie, book, show, any of your favorites, which one would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. Any fictional world. Okay, I just finished narrating a book called The Library of Amerlin. And the world that Kaylin Josephson created was just insane. It's amazing, and I want to go to that library. It's got magic and mages and magical beasts and library texts that I think rival the Game of Thrones library. I want to go there.
Understood. Which character from your childhood favorite show, movie, or game would you most like to have as a friend in real life?
Donatello.
Wow, that's a great answer. He was my favorite Ninja Turtle for the longest time, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
What would your 14-year-old self think of who you are today?
I think she'd be in awe.
Yeah.
I hope she'd be proud. The only thing that I ever wanted to be was a working actor. And I am just so grateful and blessed to be that. So I think that she would think that, and she would also be disappointed that we didn't continue with Taekwondo. I mean, I got my black belt and then I just kind of stopped.
I mean, I get it. Like, I was in karate as a kid, and I only got up to like orange black belt or whatever.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, I was young enough to not understand what that meant. So I'm like, oh, it's part black belt. I'm good. What else is there to learn? I don't know.
We've done it. We've reached the heights.
Well, it is now time to recommend 3 people that you'll share this episode with whenever it comes out, that you think they'll be a good guest on the show, and if you can help me get them on the show.
Yes. I think that Greg Chun would be an amazing guest. He's a fantastic voice actor, has been in tons of video games and dubbing. I think he dubs the main character in Squid Game.
Cool.
Yeah, so he's pretty amazing. I think Jeff Bergman would be pretty fantastic, the voice of Bugs Bunny.
Yes. Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Spoiler, he's the one who told me to be a voice actor.
If you're gonna take advice from anyone, right? Yes. Like, yes. It's gonna be Bugs Bunny.
I think so. Yes. He's pretty amazing. And let's see. My goodness gracious. I mean, you should get Mara Juno, the voice of Storm.
Yes, I had her husband
Jordan.
Yeah, on the show not too long ago, and he also recommended her. So yeah, please help me out.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think Jordan's probably your in for that.
Every bit helps.
Yes. Okay, so then I would say on top of that, then I would also say Scott White.
Love it.
Scott White, who is the Human Torch in Marvel Rivals, is Crash Bandicoot, is Sims, is Mighty Ducks fame, everywhere and everything. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do what we can to get them on the show. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you so much for having me. It's just been so fun to be able to chat and talk all things performing and music and voiceover. It's just nice to be able to extend further into the community. And I hope that everybody enjoys Marvel Tōkon as much as we enjoyed making it and voicing it. And I especially hope that everybody enjoys playing Magic.
100%. I know I will. As soon as I get off of this episode, because this is totally releasing right after the game, I'm going to be playing it immediately. Jesse, thank you so much again for being on the show. It's been an absolute treat, and just thank you so much. I can't wait to see what else is in store for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Alright, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. If you want to hear more from Jessie, be sure to follow her on her socials and check out her website, jessevilinsky.com. Links to everything will be in the description down below. Be sure to let us know what you think about this episode somewhere on the internet. Follow us on our socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to rate us 5 stars and leave a comment down below. We'll catch you on the next one.